From an 1899 cyclone, New Richmond must be rebuilt.
The New Richmond is now the topic to be considered. New Richmond is to be rebuilt. That is certain. But rebuild how and by whom? These are the questions of the hour to be pondered over and settled. There is an abundance of pluck and energy and determination to make the New Richmond better than the old in the hearts of the businessmen and citizens. But how is this to be done? They have lost their all.
The cyclone had happened in June, and by Christmas that year, New Richmond's Main Street was rebuilt.
June 12, 1899 was a hot day and the circus was in town. At about 6 p.m., an estimated F5 tornado struck and destroyed much of the city, leaving behind a terrible scene of death and debris. More than 300 buildings were destroyed, 117 people lost their lives, and fires ran rampant. The tornado is still one of the 10 deadliest tornadoes in U.S. history, but the community rebuilt the city. New buildings, churches, streets, water mains, trees, and more. They built their city twice. Much has changed in the city of New Richmond. The fingerprints of civic leaders run deep in our community. Since 1885, there have been 43 mayors and the mayor-council form of government. Mayor Ward Williams was the city's first mayor. Today, Mayor Fred Horn serves as the mayor. The mayor and council are elected positions. The city's history of elected officials have held office during this city's most challenging times. Imagine rebuilding a community after a cyclone during periods of war and unrest in our country, and during times of economic downturns. For decades, the City Council has entrusted key staff to assist in the day-to-day management of the City of New Richmond. In 1914, the city's end-of-year cash balance was approximately $214. Today, the city and utilities annual budgets are just over $16 million, with additional funds in investments and capital accounts. It wasn't until 1945 when the city hired its first utility manager in William Du Bois. In 1984, Dennis Horner was hired as the city's first city administrator. In 2016, the utility finance director position was reorganized to a shared position between the city and utility, and now oversees the financial responsibilities of all city operations. After the cyclone, Main Street was almost rebuilt within 6 months. New Richmond's downtown was vibrant. This is where the action was. Horses and buggies were replaced over time with automobiles. Joy Johnson began the first car dealership in 1925. Other downtown storefronts over the years include Jack Sprat Grocery Store, Ben Franklin, J.C. Penney, Gamble's, and many more. Current-day Knowles Avenue is still the hub of our community. More than 15,000 cars travel through each day. We look forward to new businesses, facade improvements, and building restoration, public art, and much more in the near future. Other major businesses over the years have included the Willow River Lumber Company, Friday Canning Company, Doughboy Industries, Bosch, and St. Croix Press. Development of the Business and Technical Park began in 1989 and is now home to businesses such as Phillips Medisize, Federal Foam Technologies, and many others. The first church services began in 1855 in the home of B.C.B. Foster. Many churches were organized and constructed in the late 1800s as more settlers arrived, but were later damaged by the tornado. The rebuilding of New Richmond was driven not only by civic pride, but on faith. Congregations have changed names, and places of worship have undergone expansions, new construction, and relocations. But throughout our community's history, a cooperative spirit has remained among the area congregations. Today, like back then, New Richmond is home to a large faith-based community that has created a foundation of character, fostered in integrity, dignity, and care for one another. The New Richmond Police Department was founded in 1885. Previous Chief Earl Boer recently visited with members of the New Richmond Police Department and shared stories from the past, from having one squad car with no air conditioning and many changes in equipment from firearms to uniforms and radios. The NRPD has changed a lot over the years. At one time, there was even a mounted light on Main Street. If it was lit up, officers were supposed to find a telephone and call the police dispatcher to find out where they were supposed to go. Today, the NRPD handles over 4,000 calls each year and consists of a chief, a lieutenant, 3 detectives, 2 patrol sergeants, 9 patrol officers, and 2 administrative assistants. Volunteer fire protection services began in 1875 and used horses. The fire department had both a rural chief and a city chief. A new fire truck with equipment purchased in 1958 cost $12,235. Today, one fire truck can cost more than $1 million. The fire hall was expanded in 1979 and remodeled in 2013 to include a training room, restrooms, office, and laundry machines for firefighter gear and clothing. Firefighters today complete hundreds of hours of training and education. The first full-time fire chief position was created in 1996. Today, the New Richmond Fire and Rescue Department has 40 paid on-call firefighters and proudly serves 6 additional townships and villages. The department provides fire prevention, fire suppression, fire inspections, vehicle extrication, and rescue operation. The New Richmond Area Ambulance began in 1967 after the funeral homes stopped providing ambulance services. The new ambulance, purchased in 1969, cost $18,000. In the early years, WITC sponsored first aid classes instructed by Chuck Mehls to train the ambulance staff. The New Richmond Area Ambulance shared space at the fire hall until a new building was constructed in 2012. Over the years, the ambulance service has grown from simple equipment staffed by volunteers to a fleet of specialized vehicles with sophisticated equipment staffed by trained paramedics. Through a partnership with other towns and villages, the New Richmond Area Ambulance has played a significant role in emergency and first responder care throughout our community and is on alert 24 hours a day, each and every. In the early 1900s, New Richmond hosted the annual county fair on the west side of the city. The fair moved to Glenwood City in the 1940s. The first hospital was built on the old fairground site and opened in 1950. If you look at the site today, it is an amazing campus with a state-of-the-art hospital, clinic, and regional cancer center. Westfield's hospital and clinic now has 358 employees, and the campus continues to change to meet the needs of our growing community and changes in healthcare technology. The Omaha Rail Line was built in 1872, and the Wisconsin Central Railroad was built in 1885. The historic train depot, built in 1915, still stands to this day, and freight trains continue to pass through New Richmond on a daily basis. The city appropriated $7,500 for an airport in 1945. After receiving federal and state funding, the airport was constructed in 1960, with a runway expansion in 1992. Today, the airport is one of the fastest growing airports in the Midwest, with over 165 aircrafts located in private hangars. Material for New Richmond's first hard surfaced Main Street was created in 1902 from rocks collected by area farmers. As automobiles caught on and the community grew, the city developed more paved streets and sidewalks. The first stoplight was added in 1971 to Knowles Avenue. Today, the City of New Richmond has 57 miles of streets, and recently approved Complete Streets policy will have a lasting impact on how future streets are designed and constructed. The Complete Streets policy directs future street projects to be designed in a comprehensive manner that addresses concerns such as safety for bicyclists and pedestrians, reducing traffic speeds, improving lighting, connectivity with existing sidewalks and trails, and ADA standards for accessibility. The city's first waterworks system was developed in 1892 with a 100-foot deep well. The first water tower was constructed to hold 50,000 gallons and was replaced in 1964 with a 300,000-gallon tank. Today, our water department supplies 1 million gallons of drinking water every day. After outgrowing its original sewage disposal plant and concerns of pollution, a new plant opened in the early 1950s near the Immaculate Conception Church Cemetery. A new plant was constructed in 1985 at a cost of $3.39 million. Today, the wastewater treatment plant treats up to 700,000 gallons of wastewater per day and uses ever-changing technology to clean and monitor the water that returns to the Willow River. The staff at the wastewater treatment plant have received many state awards for their service and high-quality performance. Downtown New Richmond was once lit by kerosene street lamps, tended by one man with a short stepladder. Electric lights were installed in 1905. Today, there are more than 60 miles of underground line and more than 32 miles of overhead line. Our street lights have been converted to more energy-efficient LED, and the City of New Richmond has the first municipal community solar garden in the state of Wisconsin. We are also in the process of becoming one of fewer than 20 Green Tier Legacy communities in the state. The first City of New Richmond library opened in 1927 in what is now the First National Community Bank. The Carlton A. Friday Memorial Library was established in 1963. In 1969, approximately 26,012 items were checked out. In 2016, this number was over 192,000 items. The 1980s brought new technology, including 3 beta tapes. Today, the library has public computers, tablets for kids, Wi-Fi hotspots, and a digital collection of almost 200,000 items. The last addition to the library was in 1989 for the children's wing and more modern bathrooms. The need for space endures as New Richmond continues to grow and the role of the library evolves. Educating New Richmond's young people began in 1856, before the first school was even built. The total cost to educate 15 students for 1 year was $111.84. The first 2 teachers were paid a combined total of $54. As enrollment grew and some of the first school buildings burned down, the old middle school was constructed in 1926. Today, the School District of New Richmond has state-of-the-art facilities consisting of 3 elementary schools, 1 middle school, and 1 high school. After having several different names and temporary locations, the Wisconsin Indian Head Technical Institute opened in 1977 and achieved college status in later years. The Cashman Conference Center was added in 1987. The campus has undergone many additions and renovations since then and offers nearly 50 programs including accounting, nursing, and welding. St. Mary's School was started by Father Walter Fardy in 1890 as an elementary school and high school academy. A new school was constructed in 1953 and underwent renovations and remodeling in 1973 and 2003. In the past 127 years, more than 2,000 students have walked through the doors at St. Mary's School. In 1920, 45 acres of land were purchased from W.T. Doar for $1,200 for a municipal golf course. The golf course was expanded in 1946, at which time a yearly family membership cost $25. Today, an annual family membership costs $1,450. The Links, a 9-hole golf course, was added in 1998. The golf course has become one of Wisconsin's premier and most challenging golf courses and brings many visitors to our community. Stella McNally donated land for Mary and Marita Parks and for what eventually became the Nature Center. Her donations led to planning efforts to create a park system as well as New Richmond's entry in the City Beautiful contest, from which we gained our motto for the city. Today, the City of New Richmond has 15 miles of trails and more than 220 acres of parkland. Our parks and trail system includes natural and passive areas, playgrounds, athletic fields, an ice hockey center, and even a skateboard and BMX park. The outdoor swimming pool at Mary Park was replaced with the indoor Friday Aquatic Center at the center.
And the Willow River flows quietly, tirelessly, timelessly on.